Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tearing into a seriously spectacular moment from one of the most epic texts in human history, the Mahabharata. Specifically, we're diving into an excerpt from the Khandava Daha Parva. And let me tell you, what we're about to explore is ancient storytelling that feels incredibly modern. It's got massive stakes, divine intervention, and what is essentially a high-octane heist preparation sequence. We're looking at the exact moment mortal heroes are tasked with pulling off an impossible job against the gods themselves. So, let's get into it.
Alright, so let's set up this completely bizarre dilemma. The source text opens with a very specific problem. Vahana, who is Agni, the god of fire, has this ailment that just won't go away. To cure it, he needs to completely consume the Khandava forest. Simple enough for a fire god, right? Well, no, there's a huge obstacle. Every single time Agni tries to burn the forest, Indra, the king of the gods and the god of rain, pours down massive showers to stop him. It's the ultimate elemental stalemate. Fire desperately wants to consume, but water just keeps putting it out. And Agni, he's left angry and deeply, deeply disappointed.
So, facing this immense frustration and a literally impossible roadblock, Agni decides he's got to escalate this issue to the highest possible authority. He goes straight to the grandsire, Brahma, the creator himself. Agni lays out the whole exhausting situation, the lingering ailment, his failed attempts to burn the forest, and Indra's constant, annoying interference. He desperately needs a strategic workaround, some kind of master plan to bypass the king of the gods.
Which brings us to Section 1, the divine loophole, and seeking mortal help.
Brahman listens to Agni's whole complaint, reflects for a moment, and then offers this brilliant, totally unexpected strategy. He tells him to use agents on the ground. Now, what's truly wild about this is the sheer audacity of Brahman's plan. Look closely at the wording here. In the very sight of Indra. Brahman isn't suggesting that Agni sneak around in the dark or do this covertly while Indra's back is turned. No way. He is absolutely confident that, with the right loophole, Agni can burn this forest right to the ground while the king of the gods watches, entirely powerless to stop it. It's just an incredibly bold flex.
To actually pull off this bold plan, we really need to understand the players involved. Ancient texts love to throw a lot of names at you, so let's quickly break down the cast of characters to keep things straight. Brahman explains that the old deities, Nara and Narayana, have incarnated down into the world of men. Nara is now our mortal hero, Arjuna, who you'll also hear called Partha or Vibhatsu in the text. Narayana is Vasudeva, who we all know is Krishna or Madhava. And just for our own record-keeping, Vahana, our frustrated fire god Agni, goes by the name Pavaka as well. The key takeaway here, these old deities have taken on mortal form specifically to handle cosmic celestial business.
So, the big question is, why does Brahman choose these two specific guys? Well, on one hand, they obviously have the immense cosmic pedigree of the old deities, Nara and Narayana. But on the other hand, as earthly heroes, they are perfectly positioned for this exact job. Why? Because as Brahman points out, they are literally already staying right there in the Khandava forest. Brahman guarantees that if Agni goes down and asks them for help, they will completely lock down the forest so no one can escape, and more importantly, they'll actively stop Indra from saving anyone. They are the ultimate inside men for this heist.
Moving right along to Section 2, Arjuna's ultimate shopping list. It's time to assemble the gear. Following Brahman's advice, Agni rushes down to pitch his big plan to Arjuna and Krishna. And Arjuna's response? It shifts the tone completely into what feels like a modern cinematic heist prep scene. First off, he establishes his competence. He tells Agni, straight up, I have numberless excellent celestial weapons with which I can fight even many wielders of the thunderbolt. He is not remotely intimidated by Indra. But then, he drops a massive logistical problem on the fire god. I have no bow suited to the strength of my arms. Arjuna is so incredibly strong and his physical might is so overwhelming that any standard mortal equipment will literally snap in half if he goes all out.
And this dilemma builds into the ultimate god-tier shopping list. Arjuna isn't just asking for a slightly sturdier bow. He is systematically detailing the exact loadout required to go to war against the heavens. Because of his incredible speed, he needs arrows that will literally never run out. He needs a chariot capable of actually holding up this heavy arsenal. He demands pure white steeds with the speed of the wind to pull it. And finally, he casually notes that his partner needs an upgrade too. There is currently no weapon on Earth suited to Krishna's immense energy.
I really want to pause on the description of this chariot for a second because the language in the source text is just phenomenal. Arjuna asks for a car possessing the splendor of the sun, and the clatter of whose wheels should resemble the roar of the clouds. It's this beautiful, flowery translation, but if we break down what he's actually demanding here, he essentially wants an indestructible, lightning-fast, terrifying tank. It needs to blind the enemy with its sheer brightness and completely deafen them with the roar of a thunderstorm just by rolling forward.
And, we can't forget about who actually lives in this forest. Arjuna specifically mentions that Krishna is going to need a specialized weapon to slay Nagas and Pisachas. By explicitly calling out these powerful supernatural entities, the text establishes exactly how high the stakes really are within Khandava. They aren't just looking up and fighting Indra's reign, they have to actively battle terrifying mystical beings on the ground and prevent them from escaping. It perfectly highlights why standard-issue weapons just aren't going to cut it for Krishna.
This brings us to Section 3, Preparing for the Impossible and the Ultimatum.
So, Arjuna has laid out his competence, his utter willingness to fight, and his incredibly demanding list of logistical needs. Now he brings his dialogue with the god of fire to a sharp, brilliant conclusion, placing the entire responsibility for this mission's success squarely onto Agni's shoulders. He addresses Agni firmly, saying, "We are ready to do all that manliness and prowess can do." He's basically telling him, look, we have the skills, we have the guts, and we are certainly not afraid of the king of the gods. But, he adds, it behooveth thee to give us the adequate means. He draws a hard line in the sand. We will fight your war, but you have to supply the tools. It is such a masterclass in negotiation from a mortal to a literal deity.
So Arjuna establishes this beautifully clear, logical sequence of events to solve Agni's impossible problem. Step 1. Agni absolutely must use his divine resources to provide the goods: the indestructible bow, the inexhaustible arrows, the roaring chariot, the lightning-fast steeds, and Krishna's ultimate weapon. Step 2. Once they are properly armed, Arjuna and Krishna will take the field and completely shut down Indra's showers. Step 3. With Indra held back, Agni can finally cure his ailment and successfully consume the entire Khandava forest. It's a foolproof plan, provided Agni can actually deliver all that gear.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about something. How much does this ancient arming the hero sequence mirror the exact plot structure of your favorite modern sci-fi or fantasy stories? Whether it's a super spy getting gadgets from a top-secret underground lab or space rebels analyzing the blueprints for an ultimate weapon, this trope of laying out impossible odds and demanding the exact right gear to overcome them is a completely universal thread in human storytelling. We see it in our biggest blockbuster movies today, and as we've just seen, it was being executed flawlessly thousands of years ago in the Mahabharata. It definitely leaves you wondering, what kind of absolute chaos is going to unfold when Arjuna finally gets his hands on that bow and the real battle actually begins? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the story.